Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to TradeBlocked, brought to you by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Dustin Lundt, at FF Dusty Dog on Twitter. Joining me, my co-host, we've got to my left, right on the screen. I don't know how this works this way. Hoov at HoovTube, and down below me, we've got Joel at the Joel Wirth. We have got a great show for you this evening. Talking all things Malik Nabers, sensational rookie this year. Before we get into it, though, gotta say hello to my co-host and see how you all doing this evening. Hoof, how are you doing?
I'm feeling really weird tonight, so this is gonna be a great episode for the viewers. Everybody, make sure you stay till the end because you never know what's gonna come out when I'm feeling unhinged. So we got a great episode. Malik Nabers, we're talking about a raw prospect. No, that one's good. I don't have to pause that one. That one's good. So we got a great episode. Joel, what's popping?
Doing good. I mean, you can tell how much I love you guys because I'm here and there's like a special Tuesday edition of AEW Dynamite, but I'm still here because I love you guys and we got to give the people what they need. I'm recording it, so it's all good. It's all good.
No spoilers in the chat, please.
That's crazy. Wrestling is so hot right now, and as someone that stuck through it through the worst of the times in like 2016, oh man, it's so nice to hear people talking about it in such a great light. I've been a wrestling fan for a very long time. So,
dude, I've been a fan since the 70s. So when I was a very small child.
If you haven't, go ahead and make sure you check out the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix.
I saw the first couple
episodes. Very good.
I've heard it's great.
It's very good. I highly recommend. It really shines a light on like building up the industry in WWE. But this isn't a wrestling show, even though I really want it to be. We're gonna get it back on topic. We gotta steer it back in. But we're all doing good. Got a great episode. We're talking about Malik Nabers tonight. So the best way to introduce it is let's ask, what is Malik Nabers' current value? What do you guys personally view Malik Nabers at currently?
Oh, Joel, you take this one first.
I think he's the most valuable non-quarterback asset in Dynasty.
You follow that up. I'm not doing that.
I can't follow that up. I'll just say I'm in the process of reevaluating my take on Malik Nabers. Coming out of the draft, I didn't like his draft spot going to the Giants. I thought this year in particular was going to be kind of a wasted year for him or a lost year. Just with Daniel Jones being there, the Giants just being kind of a dumpster fire on offense. They got rid of Saquon Barkley. Didn't really have much else there, but boy, was I proven wrong so far. He has been electric, and it just proves I have to remember what I told myself after A.J. Brown was drafted to the Titans. It doesn't matter the team. You got to go with the talent. And Malik Nabers had all the talent in the world coming out of this draft. He was some people's number one wide receiver in this draft. Some people's number two. It was splitting hairs, basically. And he has beaten all my expectations of what I thought he would do this season.
I'll just say I was a huge fan as a prospect, not to the level of Marvin Harrison, but very close. They were 1A and 1B for me. If you think about it, I mean, running backs are so devalued in Dynasty right now. There's no running back that even compares him. No running back that's even close, especially with like Breece Hall struggling in that offense. Bijan hasn't had the explosion that everyone wants. So there's no running back who even comes close. So you're talking the elite receivers or the elite tight ends in the super tight end premium. Outside of the quarterbacks. If you talk about the other, like he's clearly a top 5 receiver right now, right? It's Jefferson, Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Is there anyone you would take above him other than those 3?
We'll get into it, honestly, because I don't know if I'm necessarily there yet, but I know the argument because even going into the draft, I thought that this was DeAndre Hopkins 2.0. It's like no quarterback is gonna limit him. He's that good, and like especially in PPR formats, like the ball is going to go through him. And that's honestly why I was hyping Wan'Dale Robinson up so much, is because Malik Nabers being on the field, he does so much with taking away some coverage for players like Wan'Dale Robinson to make plays. Like, I thought that was going to open up so many doors for players like Wan'Dale Robinson in the offense, and even like Darius Slayton like this last week. So the players in Giants wide receiver room were talented. They just needed an alpha to really kind of shine a light on like what they were all really good at. So I thought that was what Malik Nabers was going to be. And then obviously we knew that Daniel Jones was replaceable. So like, he's up there for me. I understood that this was probably going to be the cheapest going into this season. This is the cheapest that we were ever going to get Malik Nabers going into draft season. So he was probably worth whatever you drafted him at, especially if you didn't draft him over some of these top 5 guys. But I mean, especially as someone that recently, Joel, you saying like Nico Collins is a top 5 receiver, like you're even saying over him right now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. God yeah.
Okay. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit. So let's look at what Dynasty Nerds currently has him. So you, like, in your mind, are you viewing him more as like wide receiver 1 Dynasty? If you view him as like the most
Dynasty value wise, yeah. I mean, and here's my argument. I guess we'll get into that later. If you're just a team that's rebuilding from scratch, you're saying, okay, I'm tearing it down after this year, whatever, and I'm going to start over. Justin Jefferson next year will be 26. Jamar Chase will be 25. If you're starting over and saying, okay, I've got a 2-year window until I'm competing again, those guys are going to be 28, 27 by the time you're ready to compete. Would you rather have Justin Jefferson at 28, or would you rather have 23-year-old Malik Nabers when you're ready to turn it on?
That's a good point. Let's put a pin in that, because let's look at what Dynasty Nerds has, and then we'll readdress that once we go through the top 5 above them. So Malik Nabers' current value on Dynasty Nerds, wide receiver 6, and on Sleeper PPR format, Dynasty, wide receiver 11. Without the PPR format, it was wide receiver 10. So only 1 spot difference between that. Felt like PPR was probably the most favorable and probably fit the most of our viewers out there in PPR format. So 4 spots. 5 spots. Is that very, very shocking? Like, obviously Joel views him more as like a top 3. Dustin, what about you?
I think where Dynasty Nerds have them is fair, but I can see Joel's point though. If you are a rebuilding team and Jefferson or Chase aren't going to be, you don't need those points on your team right now because you're kind of tearing things down. I get the point where maybe, you want to have Nabers on your squad where he can sit there, even sit on your taxi squad, maybe a couple seasons, not score you those points, help your overall draft position, and, just help, still have a young wide receiver then in a couple years when you're ready to compete. So, I can see Joel's point, but I think Dynasty Nerds is fair.
Absolutely. I think that let's look at what 5 are currently above him on Dynasty Nerds before, and then I think that we'll get a good answer on that. But before we do, we have a question in the chat. Hey, bro, do I start Tracy Singletary or Bucky this week at RB2? My RBs are Kyron, Cook, Kareem, and Bucky. Who wants to take this one?
I don't even know. Tampa plays New Orleans, right? Who do the Giants play this week?
Yeah.
We should probably know that.
Giants got the Bengals on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, right. Yeah, then I'm starting Tracy or Singletary. Easy. It's terrible defense.
I think I'll take another shot on Bucky. Bucky right now. I'm just not sold on Tracy yet. Like, give me one more week and I'll be there.
Yeah, I think I will lean Bucky, as much as it pains me to say that because I was all in on White coming into this season. But he's looked really good, and I think they're going to stick with the hot hand there. So I'll stay Bucky for this week.
Let me clarify. If we know that Singletary is not playing, I want Tracy. If it's going to be a split backfield, then yeah, it's probably
that's a better argument for sure.
If one of those guys has the job themselves, then yeah, I want that guy.
Yep. Okay. So let's get into it. It's top 5 on Dynasty Nerds above Malik Nabers. Number 1, we got Justin Jefferson. Wide receiver 2, CeeDee Lamb. Wide receiver 3, Jamar Chase. Wide receiver 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And wide receiver 5, Marvin Harrison Jr. Honorable mention, honestly. Joe made a fair argument the other week about Nico Collins making his way into the top 5, and there's a fair argument that he could creep his way up there, and Amon-Ra's a little lower. But what do you guys think? Is there any of these guys that you would still take over Malik Nabers? Or probably a better way to ask it would be, would you take Malik Nabers over any of these guys?
I don't know how you can have Harrison over him right now. And that's not an anti-Harrison argument, because I think he's going to get there. But like right now, Nabers is producing and Harrison is not. Like Nabers is producing at historic levels. His targets are insane. I'm just pulling up his targets. I had his numbers here.
Dustin, what do you think while he pulls that up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with this ranking. I don't necessarily have any issues of it. I know we're just so accustomed to wide receivers coming in now and producing in year one. And I know Marvin Harrison was supposed to be this generational, most pro-ready talent we've seen in, however long. And it's disappointing he hasn't produced, but we've seen enough flashes, I feel like, so far. So I wouldn't necessarily put Nabers over Harrison personally, but I wouldn't have a problem if someone said, yeah, Nabers over Harrison either.
So Nabers targets this year, 7 in week 1 against the Vikings, 18, 12, 15. Those are insane numbers.
Yeah, there's no argument.
How do you want anyone other than that right now?
The offense is going through him, but that's kind of what everyone thought with Malik Nabers, that the offense was gonna have to go through him if they were gonna make anything even happen. So I don't think anyone's very surprised that Malik Nabers is really showing out, or he's leading all rookies in receptions right now. It's yes, you understand why he's so valuable, and a lot of it comes down to that other players aren't producing at the same level, and that's why he's really showcasing. I think that what he was doing would be special, but it wouldn't be as special if other players were still producing at high levels like expected. So with Marvin Harrison, Marvin Harrison's going to eventually have that kind of production. So I'm not really worried about it. I understand the argument to put him in the top 5. I think I would still go this exact top 3, and then I'd go Harrison, Nabers, and then Amon-Ra falls out at 6. No one's going to say Malik Nabers is bad. I have him as top 5. I can't say that he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr. yet. I couldn't say that on draft day. I couldn't say that all off season, and everything that what I've seen so far is exactly what I've been expecting. So why should I change my opinion on that now?
Yeah, and perfect comment in the chat. You don't have these issues if you roster both Harrison and Nabers. Let's be honest.
Or if you roster both Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr.
Or
that's the truth too. All right. Anything else to add about these top 5 guys before we move on to the 5 underneath Nabers on Dynasty Nerds?
Isn't it just great that we have this glutton of young wide receiver talent in the league right now that just, it makes me so happy.
It's nice. And I'm hoping that next year that we can get a nice batch of running backs in to counter out this, and we can get a lot more offensive points on the board. But right now, the wide receivers are really holding a lot of value. A lot of good guys. So 5 wide receivers currently below Malik Nabers on Dynasty Nerds. We got AJ Brown, wide receiver 7, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 8, Nico Collins, wide receiver 9, Devonta Smith at wide receiver 10, and Jalen Waddle at wide receiver 11. Any of these guys that you are going to possibly take over Malik Nabers right now?
Nope.
No arguments over here.
If Nico Collins wasn't battling the hamstring injury, he's got the quarterback. That's the only argument that you can really make on it, but there is an argument to make, and it should be stated here. Nico Collins has a top 3 dynasty quarterback right now in CJ Stroud. So Nico Collins proving that he's the wide receiver 1. I was a Tank Dell guy. I thought that there was going to be a Tank Dell show this year, and I was completely wrong. So I got to buy in on Nico Collins, and I thought you made a great argument last week or possibly the week before. I forget when it was, but when you did, like, it made such good sense that he should be a top 5 receiver. And I think that there is a clear argument that he should be taken over Malik at this point.
Yeah, the argument is stability, right? Because even though we don't expect Daniel Jones to be there next year, you never know what it could get worse, right? I mean, that's always possible. Look at Miami. What happened? We didn't like Tua, and now Tua goes away, and it's a catastrophe. So yeah, that's always possible. And you do have the stability of Stroud and a good, solid coaching staff. So yeah, I get that argument, and I think Nico should be right there with Nabers, but given the age difference and like the elite production that Nabers has shown right off the bat, I'm still taking Nabers ahead of him.
Age is definitely something you should play a factor to. So maybe if we look at the sleeper rankings, maybe things will be shaken up a little bit more, that maybe I can talk you guys into possibly different. All right. 5 wide receivers above Nabers currently on sleeper. Tyreek Hill at wide receiver 6, Puka Nacua at wide receiver 7, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver 8, AJ Brown at wide receiver 9, and Chris Olave at wide receiver 10. So Puka Nacua and Tyreek Hill, 2 names that we haven't mentioned yet. How you feeling? Are you that worried? Tyreek Hill at one point was probably still viewed as the Dynasty wide receiver top 5 before Tua went down.
Talk about the list of guys who have been massive disappointments this year.
I mean, how can you blame Puka? He's hurt, but
no, I'm not saying it's any of their faults, but I mean, none of these guys have been pretty. Like Garrett Wilson had a good game last week, but have been struggling before that. AJ Brown's been hurt. Puka's been hurt. Tyreek's part of the Miami catastrophe. Olave is just not doing anything, which is really depressing to me as an Olave groupie. But yeah, I mean, none of these guys are producing. We spent big draft capital on these guys, so coming into the year. So yeah, I mean, this is just a list of this is just a list of sadness right now.
But no,
I mean, I don't think you couldn't get Nabers for any 2 of these guys right now.
Oh, I don't know about that. In Dynasty, if someone offered Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, you don't think that they could get Malik Nabers?
Nope.
Oh,
no chance.
No chance. We are going to argue later in the trade. So to the people out there, make sure you guys stay around till the end. Because,
no chance.
Oh, that's
go offer that to every manager in every one of your leagues who has Nabers and see what they say. You're getting shot down every time.
Okay, I will. All right. I don't even have any Chris Olave shares.
I was going to say, you got to have Olave to make them.
I got a few Garrett Wilson shares I'd give up for that, but I don't have any Chris Olave shares, that's for sure. But I don't know. Tyreek Hill is someone that you almost once he gets Tua back, I'm sure that it's going to be something that we forget about so fast. Once he gets his quarterback back, that he's going to be putting up high numbers and putting up elite production. And even something that I've been talking about heavily is Shedeur Sanders to Miami. Like, if that's in the wings next year and he's got that lined up, that still adds another 2-3 years to Tyreek Hill's career until he hangs it up. And he's someone that you just have to run into the ground. So Malik Nabers, obviously that he's, like I said earlier, in my opinion, he's DeAndre Hopkins 2.0. So you have to view him as that long term, but even Tyreek Hill is definitely an argument to be made to run into the ground with instead of Nabers. So I wouldn't say I would do it, but I wouldn't hate anyone for doing it or hate anyone's thought process behind it. Anything else to add?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's look at the 5 wide receivers currently below Nabers. I don't know if I'll be able to talk you guys into these guys, especially since the 5 below him, 5 above him were a little depressing. Let's look at the 5 below him on sleeper. Drake London, wide receiver 12, Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 13, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 14, Devonta Smith, wide receiver 15, and Michael Pittman Jr. at wide receiver 16. So I'm sure it's going to be a hard argument to be made to draft any of these guys above Malik Nabers at this point, especially with age and with what he's doing versus what these guys are doing. But can anyone make an argument to be made about any of these guys.
Could you get
I
Nabers
could
for
try
any
to make an
3 of these
argument,
guys?
but
I don't know why Brandon Ayuk is calling out to me, and he's probably the one that doesn't deserve it the most with how crappy he's looked. I mean, or how poor he's looked the first few weeks before last week. But I mean, my shares of Brandon Ayuk have been screaming from the rooftops for him to turn things around, and he's got the talent. Like, that's why it's so disappointing. And most of the time, I don't really get on players because obviously they are good at the end of the day. But it's so hard because you know that he's got the talent behind a 1,300 yards receiving season once again, and he's just rusty because he let contracts get in the way of production. And I feel like this team could be so much better if everyone was on board. And obviously, we learned that Christian McCaffrey is just kind of a handicap in that offense, that they rely on him too much and that there's more quirks in the system than people think. But if Brandon Ayuk was a part of that throughout the offseason, you have to imagine that they're at least they win versus that Cardinals game in spite of the flaws that they had. So I think I might make an argument that Brandon Ayuk with Brock Purdy could make an argument, but I think I'm already there with Malik Nabers that I would still take him. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with like Tyreek Hill, like and Ayuk's younger, so you get that for the long term too. So that's a very stable pick.
If you took Waddle, Devonta Smith, and Pittman, I don't think you can get Nabers for those 3.
That's so crazy. All right. So let's just get into it then. So we got plenty of good trades, and I feel like this is going to take up a good chunk of our time with all the arguments. So I put these together, and I thought that we were going to actually, have a little bit of a unanimous agreement, but I guess that I'm going to be wrong on this one. First one, super flex, Malik Nabers or a 2025 first and a 2026 first. Is he at 2 first, or is he above, in your opinion, at this point?
What are you getting in either of those classes? No, I'm not taking that. Malik Nabers is an elite asset. Okay, if I'm building something, if I'm rebuilding, if I'm a contender, I want Nabers. I don't want the picks, right? If I'm building something, I want Nabers is a foundational piece. I want that foundational piece because I can always find other pieces to build. I can find Michael Pittmans anywhere. I can find Jalen Waddles. I can make those guys happen in the draft. I can't always find a foundation. You're not going to have a guy like this in every draft class. So yeah, this isn't close. And you could throw on and you throw in more first. It just has diminishing returns. This isn't close. It's Nabers by a mile.
Would you do 3 first? Do you really have, like, obviously you're going to say yes because you have him as the number one other than a quarterback in Dynasty Superflex, but like 3 first, like that's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase territory right there, and possibly even Bijan going into the year as well. So 3 first, are you there yet?
What if, let's go back to 2021 and let's say those 3 firsts were Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Trey Lance. What good does that do you?
I guess that's a fair argument. I'm not going to.
I'm saying, and this is the way you have to approach it. Is he's a foundational piece. He's 21 years old. He just turned 21. Just turned 21 in July. He's super young. There's no reason to think that he is not going to be a part of your team. You're going to build around this guy. You say, no matter what else has gone wrong with my team, I've got Nabers. And I can build around that. You've always got that in your back pocket.
I'm a person that I trust.
The rest is a handful of magic beans.
I trust my thought process enough that I'm willing to gamble on things like this. And some of my favorite dynasty teams and orphan teams I've taken over have been moves like this, not necessarily like up to the caliber of Malik Nabers, but players similar. I traded Jalen Waddle almost for a similar price about 2 years ago, and I felt good about it then. So like I trust myself with drafting to split that value for Malik Nabers, but not everyone is comfortable enough on draft day to do that. And if you're not, obviously go with the stability like Joel. But if you're like me and you want a little bit of a gamble, go get the first. So I'm not against it, but I think
that's a great point. Yeah, it's a great point, Hoov. It depends on how you feel your confidence is with drafting. Because also in the 21 class, you had Jamar Chase, you had Jalen Waddle, and you had Devonta Smith. Like you could have hit on
Kyle
all three of
Pitts.
those guys. And well, I didn't name him for a reason. I mean, you name three shitty quarterbacks or three busts. I shouldn't say shitty, three busts of quarterbacks, but you could have hit on three elite wide receivers too, and just been ruining your league at this point.
But I mean let's think. And your point is fair. If you trust yourself, that's fine. But there may not be that kind of talent in a draft class. Look at 2022. There were no quarterbacks to be had in that entire class, except for Brock Purdy, who was undrafted in every freaking class or in every draft because he was the last guy taken in the NFL draft. So there are not always going to be players that are worthy of being drafted with those picks that can replace a guy like Nabers.
Maybe let's look at a draft pick and a foundational piece on top of it for Malik Nabers. See if that swings your opinion at all. Superflex, Malik Nabers, or DJ Moore in a 2025 first.
Nabers for me.
Is it just because you're that out on DJ Moore, or because you're that in on Malik Nabers?
I think I'm just more in on Nabers. It's nothing against DJ Moore. I just, Nabers is younger. Caleb Williams hasn't shown out. Not that Daniel Jones is great, so I shouldn't compare the quarterbacks in this situation, but just Nabers is younger and he's producing better right now.
Do you view this trade as more valuable than the first trade of 2 firsts? Or do you think that this one's more valuable?
It's like going to the optometrist. Is it this one or this one?
Is DJ Moore worth the first?
2? Number 1, 3, or 4? This is Nabers by a mile. It's not even close. Not close.
Still.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that as a wide receiver 1 with Caleb Williams, DJ Moore has been someone that once he got Justin Fields was a wide receiver 6 overall. So like if I was going to split the value, I talked about 2025 first. DJ Moore is a player that wouldn't be a bad compromise. Like if you really couldn't drag 2 firsts, which if someone's giving up Malik Nabers, they definitely should give up 2 firsts. But if they're stingy and they would rather give up a pick and a player, DJ Moore is someone that I would definitely compromise a first to get, because whether he's with Caleb Williams or whether he's with another quarterback, I still feel good about what DJ Moore can do now that he's finally shown up in like he did last year. So this year he's not doing what he did last year, but at the same time, you kind of had to expect that a little bit with Shane Waldron coming in and Roman Dunze also, and Keenan Allen also joining the team. So I think I still would do DJ Moore in a first, or it would be close, but I wouldn't hate it by any means. All right.
If you threw another first on top of this, I would have to think about it.
So you said DJ Moore 2025 first and 2026 first.
Then I'd think about it, yeah. I'm not saying I would do it. I would have to think about it. I'd have to sleep on it.
Do you feel the same, Dustin?
Yeah, that gets it a lot closer.
I think I would smash that. That feels like, especially if you're not contending at all and you got that in your inbox, like DJ Moore and 2 firsts to get you into the top 3 last year in the draft pick, you would have thought that was a lottery pick with how well DJ Moore produced last year. So I feel I probably would have felt just as good now about that trade as I would have in the offseason. So yeah, for sure. I think that would have been a smash in my opinion. I would have been teetering.
DJ Moore has 10 fewer targets in 1 more game than Malik Nabers has.
This isn't an argument of Malik Nabers being good or not. This is about whether or not the value attached to the other side of the deal is worth splitting it up. Because you make very fair points about him being a foundational piece, and I've always felt that way. Is like if you're gonna rebuild a team, you should have like 4 foundational pieces, like a house, and like build the house on the 4 foundational pieces. And so Malik Nabers could definitely be one of those like cinder blocks for your team. So I understand the concept. It's more, could DJ Moore be a cinder block for your team? And then the 2025 first also being a cinder block, and then you're actually contending. So if you draft very well, I would feel pretty good about that. Especially if this was like Ashton Junti and DJ Moore, and this was like an early 2025 first, how could you not say yes to this pick? So that's probably someone that could contend as a running back to the value of Malik Nabers if he continues to do what he's doing at Boise State. So let's look at another trade, see what we got. Superflex 6-point passing touchdown, full PPR. Malik Nabers or Joe Burrow? I'm gonna do 6-point, and then I'm gonna do 4-point because I want to pick your brain on both of these, see what you feel. 6-point quarterback or Malik Nabers?
Doesn't matter. It's a function. It's like if I need a quarterback, yes, I'll take the Burrow side. If I'm stacked at quarterback and Burrow doesn't, if I've got Hurts and Love or Hurts and Stroud or something like that, and Burrow, doesn't add anything to that, he's not an immediate starter for me, then I want Nabers.
You said top value dynasty pick other than a quarterback. This is a quarterback, so wouldn't you?
No, I agree. If I need a quarterback, I'm clearly taking Burrow here. If I don't need a quarterback, then I'm taking Nabers.
With the
this
injuries.
This is a team dependent deal.
With the injuries lingering.
What injuries?
The ongoing injuries. He's always dealing with something. That there's going to be some time that Joe Burrow's missed.
Oh, I thought you meant Nabers and the concussion. Yeah, no, I'm not worried about.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Burrow.
Dustin?
No, me either. I super flex, I would take Joe Burrow. It's awful damn close though. I think, like Joel said, it's a little bit team dependent. But in a vacuum, give me Burrow. Give me the quarterback and super flex.
Okay. I'm gonna recede here because you got unanimous decision on this one. But I want to test you guys, see how you feel the same way about another quarterback that's honestly might be better, a little bit better. Superflex 6-point passing touchdown, full PPR. Malik Nabers or Brock Purdy? What side do you lean in? Quarterback? Is it the same taste in your mouth of if you need a quarterback, you need a wide receiver, or what?
Yeah, basically, I would have to be pretty desperate at quarterback to want the Purdy side because he just doesn't carry that. He doesn't carry the cachet that Burrow does. So
then he should. He should actually.
Yeah, I would I would have to be completely desperate at quarterback to take Purdy.
Yeah, Joel, you and I are just locked in tonight. I agree with you.
How can we not? Like Brock Purdy right now, he should be viewed as a top, 8 for sure. Top 8 for sure. Like quarterback long term. I mean, I might be a little ballsy to just say a little higher and say like top 6, top 5, but
no way.
Oh man, but he's so consistent. Like he's what everyone wants Jared Goff to be. Like he can produce at those high levels consistently. Like there's always weeks that like players that are so dependent on rushing that they just drop off. And like Brock Purdy is someone that he is probably like the number one foundational piece of quarterbacks that I would love to bank my team on. Like sure, there's the upside of someone like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and going after that, but like Brock Purdy is still slept on, and it's crazy that he's just so good. I'm always gonna hype up Brock Purdy. It's Malik Nabers is a tough argument, but in a super flex where we need quarterbacks, I think I'm gonna go Brock Purdy here. I don't think that if someone would have sent me like if it was like the 3rd overall this year, and I knew that the draft picks were going to go Caleb, Jaden, and I had the option of Drake May or keeping Brock Purdy, I'm keeping Brock Purdy all day. So like, I think I still would have had Brock Purdy over him then. I think I will now. So I'll take Brock Purdy on this side. All right. Let's look at another quarterback that's producing pretty well this season. Underrated. Superflex 6-point passing touchdown, full PPR, Malik Nabers or Baker Mayfield in a 2025 first. Got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I see that look. All right. How are we feeling, Dustin?
It's interesting. I think the value is there for the Baker and the first side. I don't know if I could pull the trigger on that though. What we're seeing out of Baker this year and what we saw last year, is great, and he's playing out of his mind right now. But I don't have the confidence that he's going to be able to keep that up as a long-term top-end quarterback. So,
I think he's top 12. I think he's 12. He's got to be 12 in people's eyes, 10 to 12 right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
I
there
don't
any
hate
argument?
that.
In a super flex, that's a starter right there, low end starter. So, man, like if I'm gonna go Brock Purdy, I gotta bang the drum for Baker too, and with a first on attached to it.
I say with the first
I'd do
top, I would probably take it because if there's someone else in your league then that is a true Baker believer, you could cash out on that and
Loki,
double your picks.
Joel, got to look like either concern or mild constipation. I don't know what it is, but
it's not that. Trust me. Here's the thing. This is a fair deal, right? If I'm trading Nabers, I'm not trading him for a fair deal. I have to get blown away before I'm trading Nabers. If you can tell me I can trade Nabers for Joe Burrow, there's no way I'm trading him for Baker in a 25 first. Zero chance. So if I can get more for this. I can get more for Nabers than this. So
I want to know
him unless I'm getting a Love, a Stroud, a Burrow, Herbert plus Kyler, something like that. I'm not trading him unless I'm getting an elite guy. I'm not trading him for a second-tier quarterback.
But why isn't Baker viewed the same as Herbert right now?
He's not. It doesn't matter why. He's not. But the community does not value him as a top 12 quarterback. Whether you do or not, whether that's fair or not, is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. The community does not. The Dynasty community does not value him that way.
Trevor Lawrence was viewed as a quarterback 8 at one point. Justin Herbert was viewed as like a QB 6 at one point, and they both dropped off. Like Baker has to be higher than both those guys right now. And honestly, I think I'd take Baker over someone like Anthony Richardson with what he's shown. And I loved Anthony Richardson, but like Baker is producing and he's got weapons. So like, how can I not?
That's a more interesting question. Is would you trade Nabers for Anthony Richardson? That's an interesting question. There's no way. There's no way I'm trading Nabers for Baker in a first. The community.
I think I'd take honestly Nabers.
Baker does not hold the same trade value that those other guys, that the elite guys do. I'm not moving Nabers unless I'm getting an elite guy back.
I want to hear what the comment section has to say on this. Baker in a first or Nabers, and that's a really good question about Richardson or Nabers right now. Straight up, I think I might ask that question on X later, and then hear what people have to say. Anything else to add to those?
No.
Okay, wow. Beautiful. All right, 2 young wide receivers. You could be getting super flexible PPR, Malik Nabers, or Xavier Worthy and Zay Flowers.
Nabers, and it's not close.
Really? Oh man, I thought this was gonna get you. I thought that for sure, especially with the Rice injury and
Worthy's a gadget guy. That doesn't change the fact that he's a gadget guy.
And like it could change with Devontae Adams possibly going to the Ravens, but Zay Flowers right now, like he's the guy in that wide receiver room. Like that, between the tight ends, you don't know who's going to be each week. More than likely, now it's going to be Isaiah Likely, but Zay Flowers is the guy in that receiving room right now, and that's 2 explosive offenses in the league. Like for Malik Nabers, I don't know. That's really tough. I think I would honestly have to take Worthy and Flowers, and I love Malik Nabers here too. But Worthy and Flowers right now. Like, with Rice coming back from injury next year, and he's probably also going to have to deal with some kind of suspension. Like, we don't know what we're going to get from Rice in 2 years, potentially. So I think Worthy's has to be like the guy from now on in KC. And I love Zay Flowers. Everyone that watches this show knows I love me some Zay Flowers. So
Juju love?
It's got to be a trust thing right now. It's like us being from Wisconsin and seeing how Aaron was for a long time is the guys that he trusted, he banked on until like these young guys were able to produce and he could trust them. So I think that it's just a time once he really earns that trust with Worthy, the sky's the limit. And I was a Rashid Rice guy coming into the season, but obviously with his injuries, I have to view things a lot differently now.
All right. Hoov, before we hit the next trade here, we got a couple questions in the chat we should address.
Beautiful.
Don't want to leave them hanging too long. So this comes from Joe. I need a car replacement in my Dynasty Superflex League. We have 2 teams that stockpiled QBs and split not playing. What should I do?
I think that I'm kind of in the same situation. In Pros with Joe's, I got Derek Carr as my backup. I got Patrick Mahomes on a bye. And I even have Taysom Hill in that league. So a part of me wants to lean Taysom Hill, and just throw him in that position and ride it out just because how quarterbacks have been the last few weeks. Maybe Taysom Hill has another 2 touchdown day and he outperforms a lot of the quarterbacks currently. At least the ones that would be in this situation that you're currently in. But I put in a waiver. I probably shouldn't say this right now, just in case someone's watching. But I put in a waiver for Drake May because I feel like it was between going after like Gardner or going after May, and I'm like, I feel like May is gonna at least play the whole game. I'm probably gonna eat crow on this one because he's probably gonna end up having like negative points his first game or something like that. But at the same time, that's going to be the guy that I'm personally going to go with just because there's no better option. So I sympathize your situation.
Yeah, but he's not available in a Dynasty Superflex.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you suggesting then?
Yeah, I mean, you learn to love Jake Hayner, or you be willing to overpay because that's what you're gonna have to do. And it sucks that those guys stockpiled and bounced. That's bullshit, and that blows. But I mean, your only option is you got to overpay. So you got to either play without a quarterback or you go overpay for one. That's your only option. It sucks, but I mean, what else you can do?
You could really hope maybe AOC is out there, but.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably not.
I was going to say, just hope you can get one of those low-end guys for relatively cheap, maybe for like a second or something, and just to get you through these few weeks until Carr gets back. But that's probably the best that you're going to be able to do.
Otherwise, Taysom Hill. I'm serious. Like, let's go for it.
I mean, you can probably get Andy Dalton. Mm-hmm. You can get Andy Dalton for a third or a couple thirds or something like that. It sucks, but I mean, yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah. All right. And then we've got a great defensive question here. Would you all stream the Packers D versus the Cards, the Bears defense versus Jacksonville, Chargers versus Denver, Texans versus New England, or the Eagles versus Cleveland?
Well, if I go with what I just said, I should probably lean towards Texans versus New England, but as someone that has been extremely optimistic about the Packers defense this season, you could talk me into playing them, but Eagles versus Browns, that one's screaming out to me louder than all of them. I feel like Devin White getting cut is going to add a whole new element to this team. I feel like they're going to come fired up. So I'm going with the Eagles this week.
I think it really depends on your scoring. Is it just points against? Is it sacks? Is it turnovers? If it's turnovers, you probably want the Packers because they're leading the league in turnovers, and Arizona's playing second straight road game. So I like them. You got to like Hoov said, you got to like the Texans start against a rookie starter in his first game. And then, you got to like anybody playing against Cleveland right now. So, those are all really good options, to be honest. But those three would be the top of my list, depending on how you score.
Bears and Chargers aren't calling out by any means.
No, those three are pretty head and shoulders above the other two.
Which means those are going to be the top 2 defenses this week. So
probably.
All right.
One more. Slim Jim says, how's it going? Should I start Deontay Johnson, Drake London, or Brian Thomas Jr. this week?
Yes. Yes, you should.
Carolina plays Atlanta. Is that it? Right. So it's Deontay against Atlanta, Drake London against Carolina, or BTJ against Chicago.
I think I don't want to say it. That just sounds gross. Oh no, I don't want to do it. But
it's got to be London.
It's got to be London. Yeah,
I love BTJ, but it's got to be London. It's got Carolina's defense is terrible.
Yeah,
that's so gross. After all the time, I'm gonna go scrub my tongue after this episode. Okay, let's get back to.
It's not that bad. Come on.
It's off brand, man. I can't do it. It's off brand. All right. Let's talk about one that we went over a little bit earlier. Full PPR. Malik Nabers, Nico Collins. I think I could talk myself into Nico Collins just because all the reasons I talked about earlier with CJ Stroud and having that quarterback. That's something that even I got to give credit to where credit's due. Joey Wright, about a year ago, when we were he's talking about Jamar Chase possibly being the wide receiver 1 over Justin Jefferson because we knew that he was going to have the stability at quarterback. Justin Jefferson didn't, with Kirk Cousins possibly leaving, which he did. So was Jamar Chase possibly the wide receiver 1? I think that's possibly even like how we could view it here is like Nico Collins got the quarterback. They're both really, really good. It's no knock on Malik Nabers saying that Nico Collins should be viewed just a little bit higher than him right now because of it.
Yeah, I think you're splitting hairs here. To your point, Hoov, Nico just got that extension as well. So, he's sticking around with the team. He's not, team's invested in him. Stroud's on his rookie contract. They're going to end up extending him. So this could be a combination that's in place for, a number of years here. I guess it's really pick your poison, who you like better, or who you have a better feeling about, because they're both great players. They're both the alphas in their offenses. They're both going to be heavily targeted. I guess it's just a matter of who you really like better in this situation. But it feels like just a lateral trade in a league, which I typically don't like to do.
Yeah. I think I could talk myself into this trade because I don't have many shares in Nico Collins. That's one of the players I'm very sad on that I don't have a lot of in my leagues. But
you're willing to give up a Malik Nabers share to get one? I'd want to go about it a different way.
We should have a Nico Collins episode. I think that's what's coming out to me with that answer. That's the best thing I can say to that. I don't know if I would do that, but I would definitely try to get some Nico Collins shares a different way. Let's look at a different one. Full PPR, Malik Nabers or T. Higgins and a 2026 first.
Nabers.
Nabers.
Really? Let's go back to the golden question. Are we that in on Malik Nabers or that out on T. Higgins?
In on Nabers. If you want to get Nabers for me, it has to be Nico on a first, Amon-Ra on a first. It has to be someone who's damn close to him in a tier and a first. I'm not giving him away in a fair deal. That's my point. That's the point I want to make in this. If you're talking about an elite asset, I'm not trading him in a fair deal. So if you're coming to me and saying, what does Malik Nabers cost? I'm not telling you. You got to figure it out. You've got to make me an offer. I'm not telling you what it's going to cost because it's going to be more than you want to pay. So I'm not making a fair deal for Malik Nabers. T. Higgins in the 26 first. I honestly, I don't think it's even close. So I in a vacuum, if you put that in a trade calculator, it's probably close. It's probably a reasonable deal. I'm not trading Malik Nabers, potentially the most valuable asset in Dynasty, non-quarterback, for a fair deal. I'm not doing it.
All right. Let's look at 2-for-1 deals of highly productive fantasy players for Malik Nabers, full PPR to end this. Okay? 2-for-1. That's probably the best you're going to get, full PPR. Malik Nabers or Jaden Reed and Jamison Williams.
Nabers.
Nabers is going to out-target those two combined on any given week.
I thought Jaden Reed could be the tipping point. I mean, Jaden Reed is the most valuable boom-bust player. The most valuable boom-bust player with his upside. He could finish in the top 10 any week. He could finish as a wide receiver 1 any week when he's got Jordan Love in the field. So, man, that's really surprising, especially with Jameson Williams and his production taken away from Amon-Ra St. Brown and taking him out of the top 5 in people's opinions. So, really, I thought this one would get you at least. Get you a little more interested.
Those two guys are going to struggle to hit 100 targets. Now they may be super efficient on those targets, but Nabers is going to walk into the league as a 150 plus target guy. That's insanely valuable. Yeah, this doesn't even touch it. It's not close.
Are you worried about what goes up must come down if they do get a few playmakers in that offense? Because that's all they have. That's all they really have is Malik and then Wandale right now.
It's all they had for the first 4 games, and he still got 40 some targets in over 3 games. He has shown that he is context proof. He's context proof. It doesn't matter. He's producing with nothing around him. So how much worse can it get? He's producing at an elite level with Daniel Jones as his quarterback and literal nothing around him. How much worse can it get?
I don't think it's going to get worse. I think that the team will get better, which makes his numbers go down because there's more options. They only have one option right now, and it's him. I mean, I guess a option
does
and
it
a
make
half.
his numbers go down, or does it take coverage away?
So
does it make it even better?
Here, I mean, think about it with this way with Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins, who would be a number 1 wide receiver on a lot of other teams, played right next to him. He's got an elite quarterback that will spread the ball or will throw the ball around. And Jamar Chase still gets his. He's still an elite asset. He still is viewed as a top 3 dynasty wide receiver, even though he's got other talent around him. So, if anything, yeah, it would just help Nabers having other talent around him draw the coverage away. And great players are going to get the ball. Like quarterbacks are going to get their playmakers the ball regardless.
All right, final one then. We'll end this on. Okay? Because these are 2 players that I don't know how you turn down on a deal, regardless of who it is. Malik Nabers, full PPR, or Jackson Smith-Njigba and Rashee Rice.
Why am I taking on a hurt guy to give up Malik Nabers? No way. Come on. I'm not trading him for a hurt guy. Come on. I know you love JSN. That's all. I'm not trading him for a guy who's hurt. No way. Come on. No, stop.
Dustin, you add something before I continue.
I will stay with the Nabers side on this. I love JSN. Rashee Rice, when he was playing, he was healthy. He looked good. The 2 of them together, does that make up Malik Nabers? No. I mean, I just don't see it. Not that that's necessarily terrible, but I guess I just couldn't do that.
If he was healthy, then you've got an interesting discussion. I'm not trading him for a guy who's going to miss the rest of the year. Nope.
And a week ago, this would have been an easy smash. But yeah, I'm not gonna go in on it because there's a clear argument for it. We can differ in opinion. I need to save my voice because I got another show tonight. I gotta hang out with Dustin for an hour, and if we yell about this, then I'm not gonna have my voice. But I do want to yell because I do want to tell you all about our great partners. We talked about them earlier over at Dynasty Nerds. So, Dustin, can you tell our fabulous viewers all about our partners over at Dynasty Nerds?
Well, gosh, would I love to tell everyone out there about our great partner over at Dynasty Nerds. Do you want to take your Dynasty teams to a championship? Do you want to stack championships for years to come? Then you need to hear about Club Fantasy's newest partnership, Dynasty Nerds. Dynasty Nerds is one of the most trusted sources for both Dynasty advice and Dynasty tools. Their Nerd Score helps identify rookies with high ceilings and longevity to keep you in contention for years. And if what you're looking for is film on incoming rookies, then look no further than their all-22 film room. They even have a Dynasty trade calculator that can help you find values throughout the season and better understand how to value players across an ever-changing landscape. And these are just a few of the tools that they offer. Head to dynastynerds.com and see for yourself. choose from one of their subscription plans, and at checkout, enter code Club Fantasy. That's one word, Club Fantasy, to save 15% off your subscription. Once again, go to dynastynerds.com, use promo code Club Fantasy, get 15% off. You will not regret it.
Beautiful. And that's not the only partner that we got. We got a lot of partners over here at Club Fantasy. This is the place to be, baby. We also have a partnership over at TrophySmack. Joel, you got that beautiful belt on you? Go ahead and show it to the viewers. Make sure you guys go ahead and head over to TrophySmack.com/WAF and start shopping and get your belts, get your championships, get your trophies, get all your bling. Get it all at TrophySmack.com and really cement those league winners and those championship seasons. So head on over there and represent women of fantasy. We got a lot of partners. 2 of them, 2 great ones right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
But we don't only got partners. We also got plenty of amazing shows here on Club Fantasy. And Dustin, can you let the viewers know all about those guys?
I will do that in 1 second, but we do have one more question in the chat I want us to hit here before we do that.
Beautiful.
So this comes from JTech. Should I trade Rico for Laporta? RBs are thin in this league. Lost Pacheco. I have Pollard, Javante, Rico, and Braylon.
Now, I asked if that was Rico Dowdle. I assume it is. And if it is, I'm smashing that deal. Yeah, I want Laporta for Dowdle.
Mm-hmm.
Even in a tight end
Same.
collapse market, you probably still should want Laporta in that deal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Dowdle's doing well. Don't get me wrong; he's a nice asset, but I mean that team is going to throw so much. You're at risk for him getting like 6 carries for 30 yards in any given game, and 2 catches for 12. So yeah, I'm easily taking Laporta in that deal.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep. All right, we're all in agreement on that one. Okay, so yes, Hoop, as you're saying, we have just a plethora of great shows here under the Club Fantasy umbrella. On Monday, we've got Monday's Hangxiety with Gator, Ryan, and Josh. On Tuesday, we got Wiretapped with Ryan and Josh, and you have us with TradeBlocked. On Wednesday mornings, it's Who's Your Caddy, a golf DFS with Kelly and Adam. On Wednesday night, the flagship show of No Pun Intended with Josh, Ryan, and Joe. On Thursday, it's the Dynasty After Party with Joel and Josh.
Ooh.
On Friday, it's the Masterclass DFS with Ryan and Austin. And on Saturday, it's Start Sit Different Day with Joe, Josh, and a plethora of special guests throughout the season. It's a lot of fun. That's a fun one to join.
Ooh. And then Sunday will be available to answer all of your questions, and make sure you head over to Club Fantasy on X, where we will be answering all those great questions. We got one more question rolling in actually in the chat currently. Redraft, do you guys want London or AJ Brown the rest of the season? I want London.
I'll take AJ Brown.
Oh man, see, that just felt gross, and I was so fast. It came out so fast. London, he's healthy. All right. But yeah, I'll go London just because he's healthy. That's all. That's all I got. That's all I got, man. But also, I wanted to bring this up because we're on camera right now. It's a great place for all the viewers out there that if you're listening, I want you all to join in on this because it's for a great cause. I've been thinking about it all day, and I want to let the viewers know all about it. So every week at Optimus Fantasy, I do a series and I place bets, and I go down to Illinois and I place these bets. And I've really, the last few weeks, I've been waiting for the perfect parlay to win some money. And this week, I thought of a great way that we can make some money, hopefully, and put it to a good cause. And so I thought, what would be a great way to do it than to put $5 towards a parlay of all the picks, part of my article, and whatever money that is gained towards it, let's donate it all towards hurricane relief, and let's help out some of the people. We got plenty of people a part of this team that are affected by the hurricane down in the south right now. So let's give back. And I think that would be so cool if we have so many sports bettors, so many good sports bettors in this industry. If everyone just put $5 towards a parlay and whatever money that they made with their picks, donated towards hurricane relief, and let's really change some lives. So I'm going to start doing that every week. You guys can go ahead and follow. I thought of that idea today, and I just wanted to share that with the group. So hopefully we can raise some money this week. for that. So that's all I got. So check out the picks this week. Hopefully you guys can let me know beforehand before I actually place the bets if they're going to be for a good cause or not, going to a good year, or if they're going to hit or not for the good reason. So let me know.
I like that. Hoov. The fantasy community has always been good about rallying around a good cause and supporting people that need it. So I'm definitely down for that. I'll be checking out that article and getting on board with that this weekend. I think everyone else should too. And yeah, let's raise some money for people that are definitely going to need it.
Amen. All right.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to everyone in Florida. We're thinking of you. Stay safe.
North Carolina, the whole East Coast.
Yeah.
We're thinking of you.
Yeah.
We're with you guys.
Watching the news
Take
every
care.
day.
Stay safe. Get out of there. But most of all, stay safe.
Amen.
We'll see you on the other side.
All right. But that's it for tonight. We will see you all next week. Thank you all for checking out the show. Peace, love, happiness. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone.